to Iamgood. Good evening. My name is Thomas Dory. I'm the founder of Iamgood and your host for tonight. Bad news first. Unfortunately, our musicians got ill today, so they canceled. But I'm sure it's still going to be a great event. Who's the first time at an Iamgood event? All right. Got a couple of people here. You're lying. You've been here before. So for those of you who are new, I think I should tell the story of how I came to be that we're here tonight. When I was living in New York, about 3 years ago, me and my colleagues were getting our lunch every day in a plastic box, put it in a plastic bag, ate it with plastic utensils that were wrapped in plastic before, and then everything went into the trash. And I thought, this is insane, it's useless, I can carry this box with my 2 healthy hands for that 100 meters. And I brought my own containers, and every time a cashier would give me a bag, I would say, no thanks, I'm good. And that's where the name comes from. And I started to talk to colleagues and friends because I wanted to convince them to do the same, and I wanted to see why are they actually using so much plastic. In the US, it's even worse than here. There is the plastic bag the default option. And we people tend to go with the default option. So you have an ecological problem that is rooted in behavioral psychology. And this is what we do at Iamgood. We talk about topics from 2 perspectives. We talk about topics to do good for yourself and to do good for others and the environment. Like, for example, nutrition. Organic nutrition is probably good for your body. It's good for the farmers and the insects on the farm, so it's good for the environment. Or meditation. There are studies that show that after 10 days of meditation, you get 14% of stress reduction, and after 3 weeks, you have increased compassion by 23% and decreased aggression by 57%. So this means it makes you happier, and the people around you don't have to see a grumpy person in the morning. So this is what we do here. We talk about topics from different perspectives and see them holistically. Of course, this would not be possible without an amazing team that made today's event possible. Please give a warm round of applause for the team. And it would also not be possible without the help of amazing partners like Albert Schweizerhaus, who is hosting us for free tonight. Thank you so much. Thank you. Yes, applause. Thank you to Fiorama. You can get their latest issues all around here and for free to take away. Thank you to Ingo and Sonitor for providing their products as goodies for our speakers and you, our audience, and especially thank you to Adama and GreenHeroes, who are new partners. Thanks to Cup Solutions, the plastic cups you get outside are actually an organization or partly organized by the city of Vienna. You can rent them, and we got them for free tonight if we return all of them. So please leave all of them here. Thanks. And thank you to Felsel, which provide delicious foods for all our events, and you can taste them afterwards outside. I already tried them, they're really good. And to remind you, they're baking freshly, even on Sundays, by hand. But without further ado, I would like to get to today's first guest, Elizabeth Toth, and we're trying something new here, because at our last team meeting we said we should do different things, so we're not having just a straight talk, but we have an interview with Michael, our speaker coach, and Elizabeth. Please give it up for them.
Crickets. Okay. All right, we're trying out something new. This is pretty fantastic. The first time I saw her working was at the first blogging event in Austria that she organized, and we met at the Donauinsel 9 in the morning, which shows you how dedicated I was that day. And it was like 40 people, and we started collecting trash. And in the afternoon, we walked out of there with like 400 kilograms of trash, which was absolutely insane. It's like 3 times my own weight. And so Liz, this for me, that was like an eye-opening event, and just seeing how much stuff we throw away. What made you start this movement and your NGO?
So yes, thank you for coming that day. What made me start? So the story goes back to 2017 when I was in Malaysia at a peace summit, and I was at Starbucks with some of the other participants, and I was upset about the plastics there. And then one of the participants told me there was a movement, World Cleanup Day, where people would go outside and clean up together as a worldwide movement. And so I started to do some research about this movement, because I thought, okay, this is amazing. I want to be part of the team in Austria. And when I came back to Austria, I realized there was no team. So I said to myself, good, so I will set up a team and I will bring World Cleanup Day to Austria. So it was kind of easy at the beginning, at least that's what I thought. Just, connect with some people, create a team and bring it to Austria, but it wasn't. So it was hard to even find people, like-minded people that would like to work on a project that would take a lot of months. And at that time also something very sad happened in my family. My mother got very sick. So end of 2017, I thought that she might die. She was really, really sick, and the doctors told her that she will have only 18 more months to live in 2017. And this made me realize that I had to change something, because I thought, what would happen if somebody would tell me I had only 18 months to live? That's why I quit my job in 2018 at the beginning of the year, and I went full-time into creating GreenHeroesAustria. This is an NGO which is, our goal is to protect the environment, and our focus is on waste management. And at this point, I'm glad to say we've been growing. So we are starting Green Heroes Peru this year, and also Green Heroes Turkey. So I'm glad to say that others are following our path, our philosophy, and I think Mike has a couple of other questions, and then I will answer them and I will tell you more.
So first of all, congratulations to Peru and Turkey. I didn't even know about that, so I have a good reason to travel there. I think a lot of people might still be unsure on what logging is and what the World Cleanup Day looks like. In my case, World Cleanup Day usually means my apartment, myself, in 24 hours. But how's the real World Cleanup Day look like? What do you guys do?
So this year, on 21st of September, over 150 nations will go outside on the streets and into nature and will clean up together. So it's a worldwide cleanup day where people just come together and clean up, and it's a global movement. The meaning behind it is to show, okay, we have all a waste management problem. Even here in Austria, although people think that it's a very clean country, it is till a certain point, but just because we pay a lot of good tax money and people clean after us. But otherwise, there is a lot of littering going on, there is a lot of things that we could improve, and as Mike said before, we found at one of the first blogging events, we found over, I think there were like 330 kilograms of trash in only an hour. And yeah, and what plugging is when you go for a run and pick up trash at the same time. So you do sports, you have to bend, you have to knee. It's kind of harder than the normal jogging. However, you're doing something good for the environment, your body, and you're preventing animals to eat the trash. So everybody who has a dog knows how it is with animals. When you don't tell them they're not supposed to eat the plastics or the waste, they just do it because they don't know better.
What do you think brings those people to those events? Because there are always really a lot. There's a lot of people. There's like 30, 40 people each time. At least when I'm there, so might be because of me. No. So you have 30, 40 people there that come on a Saturday, willing to go for a run, pick up trash. What do you think makes them go there?
Well, I think it's about passion. The theme of today, as the Cambridge Dictionary says, it's an extreme interest in or wish for doing something such as a hobby, activity, etc. And I honestly think that most people come, above all, because it's something new. They've never done it before, so it's like they are curious, how will it work, what kind of people will they meet there, and also because they want to do something good. And sometimes you might have a stressful job, you might have a family, whatever, and you don't have time to do too much for the environment on a daily basis, although I will show you there are some opportunities to do that too. However, it's about finding like-minded people, also doing something together as a movement, and we have even more people than Mike said. Last time we were over 100 people, all jogging and picking up trash. So it's growing, and we were also very lucky this year because we decided to do it not only in Vienna but also in other cities of Austria. At the end, we were 69 cities worldwide plugging at the same day, and we in Austria organized it. I'm glad to say that we have a very bright network, so I know a lot of my friends that are also environmentalists in other places of this world, so it's really great to see that it can grow also, and it doesn't have to be only for us here in Vienna, but it can also be something that is for the entire world. At the end, it's something that is really fun to do, and as I told you before, you meet like-minded people, so what else is there to do on a Saturday morning?
And it's like Iamgood, except that you run and you make the world a little bit cleaner. So and there are really cool people. That's what brought me back there again, is that you meet just amazing people. Like, who else would go there if they were not, concerned about the environment and their health and meeting cool people? So I guess what I'm saying is just go there. But Liz, you brought a couple of photos for us as well to show like what the trash out there can look like.
So I have a question to the audience. What do you think do we find the most when we go out and pick up waste? Do you have any ideas? Yes? Plastic bottles. Perfect. That's it. Plastic bottles. And plastic bottles, we find also glass bottles, as you can see. However, plastic bottles, why is it so important for us to say that we need to take them out of nature? This is the reason. It's not a commercial for Coca-Cola, although it looks like it. However, as you can see, this polar bear is seeing this plastic bottle more as food, as plastic bottle, what it is, just because of the smell and the color. So we have a lot of plastic, 4 tons of plastic every day that go from the Danube into the Black Sea. So that's why it's so important for us to say, okay, we need to take these plastic bottles out of nature and pick them up and separate them properly. What else do you think do we find a lot?
Cigarette butts.
Cigarette butts, yes. Is there something else? plastic bags, yes, a lot of plastic containers and bags. Something that was also on the picture before, maybe you saw. Cans, that's it. We find a lot of cans every time we go and pick up trash. There we were only 20 people picking up, and as you can, we found, I think there were 172 cans in an hour. As you can tell, people like to drink beer outside, and they just throw their cans into the bushes, or they just leave it behind. And some of them we found in the water. And the problem with cans is not so known, because many people think that the only problem we have at this point are plastic containers, plastic bags, plastic bottles. However, the problem here is that this is Brazil. So to have aluminium, there is a lot of deforestation going on. We are talking here about a surface of 15 times Vienna that is that the deforestation goes on in Brazil. So it means a lot of space is used just to create new metals, aluminium, etc. Because nowadays we still don't separate our waste properly. So this is something that we can all do. Say, okay, I take my can, I put it into the bin for cans, and so it stays in the loop and it can be recycled. An aluminium can be recycled as often as they want. They don't lose any, the material stays good forever. However, it takes a lot of energy, that's true, but we can also have clean energy, so we don't need to use fossil fuels. That's why it's very, very important to separate the trash if you have some cans that you're using. And the other thing that you said before, yes, cigarette butts. Cigarette butts, they're such a pain. They're so tiny that animals eat them. As you can see here, and he's not smoking. Although it looks like that, they eat them, fish eat them, and the problem is that they pollute to 60 liters of water, the toxins that are in one single cigarette butt. We find them a lot, and they're so small that the wind blows them away, and so they also get into the Danube, and that's why we always do our cleanups next to the rivers, next to the water, just to prevent it to get into the ocean later or into the sea.
I have so many questions. So first one to Thomas, how much time do we have left? Are we good? We don't have a musician, so we can go for like 2-3 hours. Okay, cool. Where did the name Green Heroes come from? I mean, it's kind of, I want to say no. Where does it come from?
The name came from, I wanted to use the word hero. So this was for me obvious. I saw, okay, people who are taking their time, their spare time to do something for the environment, they're heroes for me. And the name green, it was just obvious to take because black heroes or purple heroes wouldn't really make sense. So that's why we stick to Green Heroes. That's the story behind it. There is no super story behind the name.
Well, so here's what I was thinking deviously, is that because Green Heroes, you have green shirts, and that allows you to kind of hide in the bushes, and when someone throws their can in there, you think, like, oh. But apparently, okay, I'm thinking ahead of my... But at least, anyway, before I get distracted into my own theories here, you brought an exercise for us, so maybe this is a good time to break it up and give something for the guys to do.
Yes, and so what I wanted to know is, first of all, do you separate waste at home? And if you do so, what do you separate? Second, what do you do in your daily life to reduce your carbon footprint? If somebody doesn't know what the carbon footprint is, please raise your hands. It's okay if you don't know it. It's totally fine. Yes? Okay. So the carbon footprint, it's about how much fossil foods you actually use by using a lot of plastics, a lot of plastic containers, etc., packages. Also by flying, by using your car, by eating meat, by what else? Oh, by the way you're living, for example. Like if you live in an old building, let's say 200 square meters, all by yourself, and you have to use a lot of heating, so you're using a lot of energy. So this is all what can make your carbon footprint grow. But there are a lot of things that you can do to diminish it. So like here, less flying, reducing meat, whatever there is. And the third question would be, why did you start to live a more sustainable lifestyle? If you think that you're living more sustainable, like let's say 10 years ago, why did you start? And what I would ask you to do is to find a partner with whom you will talk about these topics. However, it has to be somebody you've never talked before. So don't do it with your friends that you came with. Just try to get a connect with other people that you don't know and just mix up. And we have 5 minutes for the exercise. So please start now.
A good chance is probably knowing that you guys are going to sit next to each other. Maybe you can just turn 180 degrees and talk to the person behind you. Us, close the Tinder app, close the Facebook app, come back here. Who here got through the list of questions and actually found out something interesting about their behavior or the other person's behavior? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You're trying to be part of the crowd, okay? Liz, what was the weirdest thing you ever found, or one of the participants ever found, going through one of those events?
One of the weirdest things we found was a bike, for example, like a very good normal bike, which was just in the river in the Danube, and that's kind of weird. Because I thought either somebody stole it and just left it behind, or somebody forgot about it. I don't know, it's weird. What was the story behind it? We don't know, but you know, we always assume stuff what happened, so yeah.
I thought you would mention the underwear. Okay. Bicycle. That's bicycle or bike? Bike.
Yeah.
Not a Harley Davidson.
Bicycle. No, bicycle.
I'm picturing a Harley Davidson with someone in a leather jacket floating away. Okay, so I think I have 2 more questions, so that Thomas can time. The title of your talk is "We Don't Scream." Why don't we scream?
So when I decided to set up Green Heroes, for me what was really important was to say, I don't want to be this kind of person who goes in front of buildings and is screaming at people that are walking by and being like a pain in the neck. I just wanted to be a nice person. I wanted to be this kind of organization who gives a good example and shows that environmental protection can be fun, and not who tries to point out what other people are doing wrong, to shame people, shame companies, etc. So this was my goal, and that's why I wanted to have this title, We Don't Scream, because we don't scream. We don't go on the streets, we don't go in front of companies, and we don't shame anybody. That's not what we want to be. To be honest, everybody who has been a kid before, or everybody who has kids, knows how it affects people when you scream at them. Normally a kid starts to cry, is afraid of you. When you have a teenager at home, for example, they might scream back. And if you have an adult in front of you, they might just ignore you because why are you screaming, you know? So that's why we are really against violence in any kind of way, and above all, we are against shaming others.
All right, final question. How can people find your events? Where can they find you? How can they join? When is the next event? Okay, 4 questions.
Okay, so before I start with telling you where you can find us, I will tell you something that you can do at home, above all, to be part of it. So what is very important, if there is a possibility for you at home, is to reduce waste. I chose this picture because it shows you that, as you can see, all this fruit and vegetables, they're not packaged. Because we try to buy, every time we buy something, we buy it unpacked. So you can do that by going to the farmer's market, for example, by bringing your own containers, by choosing things that are unpacked from the beginning on. You can do that even if you go to the grocery store. Nowadays, there are some grocery stores that are giving, where you can buy vegetables and fruit without packaging. The next thing you can do, and this is something very, very important, is to separate your waste. Although people might think, and this is a very big myth, there are 2 myths, I think, in Vienna. The one thing is, okay, when you put everything into the trash bin together, they separate it at the Spittelau, but they don't. Like, everything you put in together, it gets burned. So it gets burnt, and so all the metals we've been talking about before, they can't take them out. So they do at the end to take the metals, but not there. The metals are not good to use anymore. So you can do any kind of cans out of it. The plastic bottles, you can reuse them, etc. The second myth is that it doesn't matter if you separate the waste because they're putting everything together and you burn everything. And that's not true either. All the metals, the plastics, and the glass bottles, they're very precious. So that's why the moment all the systems get the containers separately, they get all the containers separately, each from other. They reuse them. So they really, if you have a glass bottle, for example a beer bottle, you give it back, you get again a beer bottle that has been reused. So it's so important, although people don't think about it, it's so important to separate your waste. And the third thing what you can do is what Mike said before, is to join our events. So the next bigger event will be on the 21st of September, but you can find here more details on GreenHeroes.at. You can find all the next events. There will be a very big one on the 21st of September, but now in June there will be, on the 15th of June, there will be a speed cleanup. It's not a speed dating, however, it's about finding other people. If you're new to Vienna, for example, or even if you lived here for a longer time, so you will meet other people. It will be a speed friending, and then at the end we will do a cleanup together. So, and what do you get out of it is to meet new people and to do something good for the environment.
And for the first time, you will be really happy when you find a spot that has a lot of trash, because there's always, at the end, there's this weighing thing, right? Which team gets found the most trash, and I was always really happy when I found a spot where it's a lot of trash, which is a weird thing to do on a friendly day. It's like, oh, this is awesome, there's trash. Also, I always learn a lot from Liz's Instagram feed. The last thing that I learned, and I was completely blowing my mind, was the fact that, and you'll have numbers better than I do, but I always thought that I'm saving the universe by using tote bags, and I collected tote bags at home, and paper bags instead of getting the plastic bags in the supermarket. But it turns out like that was actually technically, in my case, because I just throw it away, the worst thing I could do, because you want to use plastic, like paper bag, it's like 10 uses before it, you have the numbers better than I. Anyway, what I'm saying before you give them the right numbers is that you learn a lot of stuff that you probably didn't know, by checking out the Green Heroes Instagram feed, Facebook, and all the hip stuff that the kids do.
Yes, so that's true. I think this was something I put it on my own Instagram. It was about cotton bags that everybody thinks they're so sustainable, and yes, they are. However, you have to use them 172 times, so they're more sustainable than a plastic bag. So you can imagine how much energy they have to put into a single cotton bag, because you have to grow the cotton, then you have to produce a bag, then you have to ship it, etc. So it's a lot of energy that goes into it. And yes, if you use a paper bag, you will have to use it 4 times at least. So it's better than a plastic bag. So as you can see, the carbon footprint of a plastic bag is still better than the one of a paper bag or a cotton bag, which doesn't mean that you have to use now plastic bags. It just means that you have to be more aware of what you're using, because also buying everything that every time you buy single use, and it doesn't matter if it's a straw that is now a paper straw, or it is instead of having a plastic bag, a paper bag, single use is always the worst thing you can do. So if you love to use a straw, for example, use a metal straw. If you still want to have your bag, like if you need to go grocery shopping and you need a bag for it, so take your own bag with you. Because at the end, if you do that like the whole year, then a cotton bag is good enough. The only problem at this moment we are facing is that everybody is giving cotton bags away, and so I'm sure you're also one of those persons that has at least 5 cotton bags at home or more, just because everybody is giving it away like a goodie bag, and you might use 1 or 2 or maybe 3, but not more. So yes, think about that too.
All right, thank you, Liz. And what do you say we open it up for the crowd and take some questions?
Other questions? Questions? Yes, please.
I just have a big bag full of bags, and I don't know what to do with them. Should I just throw them away? No, more and more and more. So
Are they plastic bags or what kind of bags?
Yeah.
Yes, then just use it for waste, for trash, and then throw them away, yeah. But if you're reusing a plastic bag, is like, as I was saying before, it's like 1 plastic bag is 172 times using a cotton bag, like, so if you use it again by using it for waste, then it's okay. As long as it doesn't land in nature, everything is fine.
Okay. Thank you.
Other questions? Yes.
And wait, can I add something? Because that was just a light bulb moment I had, telling everyone who's giving me tote bags because it's so fancy and so saving the nature, just telling them, hey guys, this is actually, so you should stop doing that, because that lady over there ended up with 250. So it's not, or less than that, but telling them, hey, stop handing out those damn bags.
I'm coming from Upper Austria and now living in Vienna. And in Upper Austria, the waste management is with a lot of separation. So usually you have at home organic waste, plastic, paper, and all of that different containers. Why is it in Vienna that most of the apartment houses only offer paper and rest waste?
This has to do with the MA 48. So it is by law that we're separating less waste. Like I know that you're separating HDPE and other types of plastics instead of just the bottles that we have here in Vienna. And it's just because they made the rule like that. It has only to do with the city of Vienna who decided that they wanted to do it like that. However, you can have, if you want to have an organic bin in your house, you can do that. So you can go to your Hausverwaltung, to the manager of your house, and they will, and there you can ask for an organic bin But be careful, because at my house, for example, we have the windows to the curb, so it would be like, if that's stinky, I wouldn't like to have that every time I open my window, so that's why I separate my organic waste at home and I bring it to the bin. But this possibility is there, but for the glass and everything else, it's not. Sorry.
If I may add to that, you also have that separation stations, and you get the M48 app or the website where you can find all of that, and you can find metal, plastics, organic waste, and everything is on the app actually.
And it will get easier in Vienna. You will be able to put metals and the plastic bottles and the Tetra Paks in one bin. So starting in autumn.
Good. I'm sure you're still around after the event for a few more minutes and a few more questions. Shall we get to the next guest tonight? Thank you so much, guys.